Many old people check doors and locks again and again. They lock the door, then check it, then walk away, then come back and check it again. Sometimes 2 times, sometimes 5 times. From the outside, this may look like overthinking or even unnecessary habit, but inside, there is a deeper reason. As people grow older, their sense of safety changes, not because the world suddenly becomes more dangerous, but because they feel more vulnerable. Their body is not as strong as before. Their reaction is slower. Their ability to handle sudden situations is reduced, so the mind adjusts. It becomes more alert to risk, even small risks. A door not fully locked, a window slightly open. These things feel bigger than they used to, because now the cost of a problem feels higher. When they were younger, they trusted their ability to respond. Now they trust prevention, and checking the lock becomes part of that prevention. Now think about control. In old age, many things begin to slip out of control. Health changes, memory changes, energy changes. These are not things they can fully manage, but a door lock, that is something they can control. They can touch it, check it, confirm it, so they return to it again and again. Not because they forgot, but because they want to feel certain. Certainty brings calm, and calm becomes very important. Now here is something subtle. Memory in old age does not always feel reliable. Even if they lock the door properly, a few minutes later, a small doubt can appear. Did I really lock it, or did I just think about locking it? This doubt is very quiet, but very persistent, and once it appears, it does not go away easily, so they go back. They check. They feel the lock with their hand. They turn it again, and in that moment, they feel relief, but only for a while, because the doubt can return. And this creates a cycle. Check. Feel relief. Doubt again. Check again. This is not carelessness. This is the mind trying to protect itself from uncertainty. Now let's go deeper. Old people often live with a stronger awareness of consequences. They think ahead. What if something happens? What if someone enters? What if I cannot respond in time? These thoughts are not loud. They are quiet, but constant. So checking the lock becomes a way to silence those thoughts, even if just for a few minutes. Now, there is also something emotional here. Home, for an older person, is not just a place. It is their safe space, their world. Everything familiar is inside it. Memories, belongings, a sense of identity. So, protecting the home feels like protecting themselves, and the door lock becomes the boundary. Inside is safety. Outside is uncertainty, so they make sure that boundary is strong, again and again. Now think about loneliness. Many old people spend more time alone. When you are alone, small thoughts become louder. There is no distraction, no conversation to shift attention, so a small doubt like, did I lock the door, can grow quickly, and the only way to silence it is to check. Now look at routine again. Old people often build strong routines to create stability. Checking locks becomes part of that routine. Before sleeping, check the door. Before leaving, check the door. Sometimes, even during the night, they wake up and check again, because routine gives a sense of control, and control reduces anxiety. Now here is something very important. This behavior is not always about fear. It is about reassurance. They are not always afraid of something happening. They are trying to feel sure that nothing will happen. There is a difference. Fear is loud, reassurance is quiet, and most of the time, this checking is quiet. Now let's talk about trust. With age, trust shifts. They trust their experience, but they question their memory. So even if they know they locked the door, they may not fully trust that memory, so they confirm it physically. Touching the lock feels more real than remembering it, and this physical confirmation feels stronger than thought. Now there is also a deeper psychological pattern. As people age, they become more careful with mistakes. Because mistakes feel heavier, a small mistake can create a big problem, so they double check, then triple check, because prevention feels safer than regret. Now think about nighttime. Darkness increases uncertainty. Silence increases awareness. Every small sound feels louder, so the thought of an unlocked door feels even more uncomfortable. That is why many old people check locks more at night. Not because something is happening, but because the mind becomes more active in silence. Now here is something very human. Even after checking multiple times, they may still think about it while lying in bed. A small thought, should I check one more time? And sometimes they get up again, not because they want to, but because the thought does not let them rest. And peace of mind becomes more important than effort. Now look at the deeper meaning. This is not just about doors and locks. This is about safety, control, certainty, and the need to feel secure in a changing world. So when an old person checks the lock again, do not see it as a small habit. See what it represents. A mind that wants peace, a body that seeks safety, a life that values stability. And maybe this tells us something important, that as people grow older, they are not becoming more afraid. They are becoming more aware of what truly matters. And sometimes that awareness shows itself in very small actions, like quietly checking a door one more time. As this behavior continues, it slowly becomes part of their inner routine. Not something they question, but something they rely on. They may not even explain it to others. They just do it, quietly, again and again. Now there is something deeper happening inside this repetition. Each time they check the lock, they are not just checking the door. They are calming their mind. It is a small ritual, a way to settle the inner noise. Because doubt, in old age, does not disappear quickly. It lingers, so the mind creates a loop. Check, feel calm, doubt returns, check again. This loop may look unnecessary from outside, but inside, it feels necessary, very necessary. Now think about how the brain changes with age. Short-term memory becomes less stable. This does not mean they forget everything. It means confidence in memory becomes weaker. So even if they remember locking the door, they may not trust that memory fully. And when trust is weak, the mind looks for proof, physical proof. So they go back, touch the lock, turn the handle, and in that moment, they feel grounded. This is real. This is done. But that feeling fades, because the issue is not the lock, it is the certainty. And certainty is harder to hold on to now. Now there is also a strong emotional layer. Old people often think ahead more than before. They imagine situations. What if something goes wrong? What if I cannot handle it? These thoughts are not dramatic. They are quiet, but they repeat. And the mind tries to reduce these thoughts through small actions. Checking the lock is one of those actions. It gives a sense of, I did my part. And that feeling brings temporary peace. Now consider this carefully. When a young person forgets something, they usually move on quickly. But an older person may stay with that thought longer because their mind processes risk differently now. They weigh consequences more. So they become more careful, more detailed, more repetitive. Now let's look at another angle. The act of checking itself becomes comforting. Not just the result, the action. Walking to the door, touching the lock, hearing the click. This sequence becomes familiar, and familiarity reduces anxiety. So even if the door is already locked, the act of checking again still provides comfort. It is like repeating a known path, and known paths feel safe. Now there is also something connected to isolation. When someone lives alone, they carry full responsibility for their safety. There is no one else to confirm, no one to say, yes, it's locked. So they become their own reassurance. And when one person has to provide both the action and the confirmation, repetition increases because one check does not always feel enough. Now think about nighttime again. At night, the mind becomes more sensitive. Silence grows deeper, small sounds feel bigger, and thoughts have more space to move. So the idea of an unlocked door can become stronger, even if it is not real. And to quiet that thought, they get up and check again. This is not weakness. This is the mind trying to create peace in a quiet environment. Now here is something very important. This behavior is not always a disorder. It is often a natural adaptation. The mind is adjusting to reduced confidence in memory and increased awareness of vulnerability. So it builds systems, repetition, routine, physical checking. These are tools, not problems. But sometimes, if the checking becomes too frequent, too stressful, then it may go beyond normal adaptation. It may turn into anxiety or a pattern similar to obsessive thinking, where even after checking many times, the mind does not relax. And in those cases, understanding and support become important, not criticism, not impatience, because telling them you already checked does not remove the feeling. The feeling is not logical, it is emotional, so it needs calmness, not correction. Now look at the emotional impact again. Every time they doubt themselves, it slightly affects their confidence, not in a big way, but slowly, quietly. They may begin to think, can I trust myself? Am I becoming forgetful? And these thoughts can stay inside, unspoken. So the repeated checking also becomes a way to protect their sense of reliability, to prove to themselves, I am still careful. I am still responsible. Now step back and look at the full picture. This is not just about a door, it is about safety, control, memory, confidence, peace of mind, all connected in one small action. So when you see an older person checking a lock again, pause for a moment. Instead of stopping them, understand what they are doing. They are not just checking a door, they are trying to quiet a thought, to feel safe, to feel certain, to feel in control. And maybe that is something everyone wants, just in different ways. For them, it simply shows up as one more check, one more touch, one more moment of reassurance before they can finally rest. And as time goes on, this habit becomes even more quiet, but even more meaningful. It is no longer just about, did I lock the door? It becomes part of how they settle their mind before rest, before sleep, before leaving the house, before ending the day. They check, not in a rush, not in panic, but slowly, carefully, almost like closing a chapter. Now, if you watch closely, you will notice something. After they check the lock, there is often a small pause, a moment of stillness, as if they are listening, not to the door, but to their own mind. Is it okay now? Can I relax? And when the answer feels like yes, their body softens, their shoulders relax, their breathing slows. This small act creates a sense of closure. Now think about how important closure is in old age. Unfinished thoughts feel heavier than before. Uncertainty lingers longer, so they try to close small loops. A locked door is a closed loop. It says, this part is done, and that feeling allows them to move on or to rest. Now here is something deeper. As people age, they become more aware of their environment, not in a curious way, but in a protective way. They notice sounds more, movements more, changes more, because awareness becomes a form of safety. So the door, the lock, the windows, these become points of attention, not because something is wrong, but because they want everything to feel right. Now consider something emotional. Many old people have lived through times when safety was not guaranteed. Moments in life where something unexpected happened. A theft, a loss, a sudden event. Even if those moments were long ago, they leave a trace. And in old age, those traces become more active. Not as fear, but as caution. So checking the lock is also influenced by memory, not just current thinking. It is the past quietly guiding the present. Now there is also something about responsibility. Even if they live with family, many old people still feel responsible for the home. They want to make sure everything is secure, that nothing is left open, nothing is forgotten. Because responsibility does not fade easily, it stays, even when the body slows down. So checking the door becomes a way to fulfill that responsibility, to feel useful, to feel involved. Now let's look at the emotional side again. Sometimes, after checking the lock many times, they may still feel a slight unease. Not strong, just a small feeling. And instead of checking again, they may sit quietly with it, because they know if they keep chasing certainty, it may never feel complete. So they begin to accept a little uncertainty, very slowly. This is also part of aging, learning to live with small unanswered doubts, but reaching that point takes time. Until then, checking gives them comfort. Now here is something very human. If someone gently says, "I checked it, it's locked," it may help for a moment, but it does not replace their own action, because reassurance from others is not as strong as self-confirmation. They need to feel it themselves, touch it themselves, see it themselves. Only then does it settle inside. Now think about trust again, not trust in others, but trust in self. This trust becomes delicate with age, so they rebuild it through small, repeated actions. I checked it. I made sure. I confirmed it. These sentences are not spoken out loud, but they exist inside, quiet affirmations. Now step back and look at the deeper meaning. This behavior shows something very important. Old people are not becoming careless. They are becoming more precise, more aware, more intentional. They are paying attention to details that others ignore, because those details make them feel safe. Now imagine a world that feels slightly less predictable than before, where your body is slower, your memory is less certain, your energy is limited. In that world, small certainties become very valuable. A locked door, a closed window, a checked handle. These are not just actions, they are anchors, anchors in a changing reality. So when they check again and again, they are holding on to those anchors, holding on to stability, holding on to peace. And maybe this shows us something deeper about all humans, that when life becomes uncertain, we all create small rituals, small actions that make us feel in control. For some, it is checking a phone. For others, it is repeating a habit. And for old people, it is often the quiet act of checking a door one more time until the mind finally whispers, "It's okay now." And in the final stage of this behavior, something very quiet becomes clear. It is no longer just about the door. It becomes about peace of mind, a kind of inner settling. They check the lock, not because they think it is open, but because they want to feel closed inside, closed from worry, closed from doubt, closed from what if. And this feeling is very delicate. It does not come from thinking, it comes from doing, from that small physical action. Now, if you look closely, this habit starts to slow down over time, not because memory improves, but because acceptance grows. They begin to understand their own mind. They realize, no matter how many times I check, the doubt may still come. And slowly, very slowly, they begin to let that doubt exist without reacting every time. This does not happen suddenly. It takes time. But it is a very deep shift from needing full certainty to allowing a little uncertainty. And this shift brings a different kind of calm, a softer calm, not perfect, but enough. Now think about this carefully. For most of their life, they trusted their mind without question. They locked the door once and moved on. But in old age, that automatic trust changes. So they build new ways to feel secure. Checking is one of those ways. But eventually, they start to rely less on repetition and more on acceptance. This is how my mind works now. I don't need to fight it every time. And this understanding reduces the tension. Now there is also something very human here. They do not want to be seen as forgetful. They do not want others to worry about them. So many times they hide this behavior. They check quietly. They do not mention it because they want to maintain dignity. And dignity in old age is deeply important. So even this small act is done with care, without attention, without making it visible. Now look at the emotional layer again. This habit is not driven by fear alone. It is driven by responsibility, a lifetime of being careful, of protecting their home, of taking care of things. That pattern does not disappear. It stays, even when circumstances change. So checking the lock is also a continuation of who they have always been, a careful person, a responsible person. Now step back and see the bigger picture. This is not a problem to fix. It is a pattern to understand. Because when you understand it, your response changes. You become softer, more patient. Instead of saying, "You already checked," you may simply stand with them or gently say, "It's okay, we can check together." This creates comfort, not resistance. Now here is a deeper truth. Every human being, at some point in life, looks for small ways to feel certain in an uncertain world. For old people, this need becomes clearer, more visible, because other certainties are fading. So they hold on to what they can: a locked door, a closed space, a confirmed action. And in that small confirmation, they find something bigger: a moment of quiet, a moment of control, a moment where everything feels just a little bit steady. So when an old person walks back to the door, touches the lock again, waits for that soft click, do not rush them. Do not dismiss it. Because in that small moment, they are not just checking a door. They are calming their mind. They are protecting their space. They are holding on to certainty in a world that no longer feels fully predictable. And maybe that is something we all understand, just in different ways, because in the end, everyone is searching for that same feeling, that quiet, simple reassurance that everything is okay before they finally let themselves rest.